Quirkyloverosee's I Am an Island does not deserve your thoughtful, honest critique, or even your attention for that matter. And here's why. A good poem is hard to construct, but an apology, now that's light work. It is so much easier to put into words what makes a heartfelt apology. A strong apology contains some of the following elements. I hurt you. I was wrong. How can I make it right? Acknowledgement, contrition, an attempt to make amends. Sounds easy, right? At least that's what you'd think. It's all well and good to talk the talk, but walking the walk, now that is an entirely different ballgame. And in this poem, Rosie shows us the importance of listening to actions over words, because when words fail us, actions have a funny way of always revealing our innermost feelings. So let's talk about Rosie's last poem, I Am an Island. Now I'm sorry, but this one, unlike the rest of her poems, it does not come equipped with any cute little sayings or quick quips to add, because in it she gets straight to the point. I'll go ahead and read it here for you. I am an island. Here we go. I am an island, stranded, surrounded by the water I wish to be. I stand firm in my beliefs, alone, lacking harmony. I'm lost within myself, afraid to trust help is coming, knowing those who could lend a hand would rather bound mine. The echoes of my cries fall onto deaf hatred, apathetic self-preservation. I'm deprived of my humanity, guarded, engulfed with waves of emotion. I see the rescue boat in the distance, with the people who truly matter to bring me home. Translation, sorry, not sorry. Actually, no. Sorry I made you be mean to me, and I'm sorry that you just won't let this go. I'll leave. Oh, and thanks for telling us you weren't sorry, by the way. Okay, let's play a game of charades. This is like the 600th iteration of every other poem she's ever written, but I'll give you a hint. 3 words, 1 sentiment. Woe is me. Ding, ding, ding. However did you know? My girl really said, these are my confessions. Just when I thought I said all I could say, my chick on the side says she got one on the way. These are my confessions. Man, I'm thrown and I don't know what to do. I guess I gotta give you part 600 of my confessions. I'm drowning in a sea of noise, but at least I know that I am at peace with myself and my decisions. You don't agree with them because you don't like me. So no matter what I say or do or how right I am, no one is coming to this big, beautiful damsel in distress's rescue. You guys just want to stifle and suppress me to get your moment in the limelight. And you know what? If you have to tear me down to do that, then so be it. I'll let you guys have it. I am literally going through hell right now, but you don't even care. And that's fine, because I have a boyfriend, and he's been a ride for me and mine. And then she took a so-called break, almost exactly like the poem ends, with her retreating into herself and who or whatever actually mattered to her in the first place, because despite her positioning herself as wanting to be an ally to women of Pearadise and probably help advocate for them, like I guess she intended to do, I don't know. But instead of advocating for them and their stories to be told, all she could think to do was help fight with Stefan, and then actually help give him reasons as to why people should not watch the documentary, because the quote-unquote expert tied to the doc, being a feudalism expert, was actually begging to get flued out by him. Yikes, what a mess. And what I can say is that the women of Pearadise may have chosen to forgive Rosie, but here's precisely why I am not going to. At least not anytime soon. She's not sorry for centering herself in the story of these women's pain. Instead, she saw it as a vehicle for growth. A fun-filled excursion dressed up as a business opportunity. One that came with a nice free trip, She cannot fathom that the way she pitched this serious docuseries, which recounts the incredibly traumatic events that these women went through, she can't imagine that the way that she talked about it was insensitive. She pitched it in a completely absurd way because while it must have been really painful for them to go through those things and then have to dredge up all these memories, she was having a ball, having fun at a buffet, eating takeout in her luxurious new eating bed, swimming in the pool. Okay, I don't know if she did that. The point is, she was having a time. When all the dust scattered from some of the backlash Rosie received for platforming and engaging with Stefan, I was reading her poetry on Instagram, and after hearing her apologize and move on, I was gobsmacked when I read this poem of hers titled, I Am an Island. And honestly, this could have been her best poem to date, but I'm going to tell you exactly why it's not, and why I refuse to dignify this response with any critique. In the heat of the moment, it seemed like Rosie did the right thing. She apologized and thought about her actions and made what looked like some effort to listen and receive the feedback that she was receiving. It was shockingly mature. Considering how the back and forth with her and Zachary Michael went, I was not expecting that. And I was right too, because then she turned around, took a step back, and wrote this poem in the shadows. And chucked this F.U. right on her least most visible platform. At this point, I don't feel like I see her any differently than Chantal does. And never in my life did I think I would ever have to agree with that woman. But wow, Rosie, you are not sorry. Not one bit. And this poem solidified that for me. I'm glad no one saw it because these women have been through enough and you've only ever seemed to make it worse. You aren't sorry for taking up so much space and acting out your misplaced rage, your regrets, your hurt, your misery over the harm that vederism has wrought onto your life. You said that you were sorry, but with this poem you've reneged on that, and you're painting yourself as a victim, ignoring everyone else who spoke up for the victims of Pearadise, including them, the actual victims. With this poem you've casted them aside and wrote them off as apathetic and hateful. You made them seem petty and cruel, and like they bullied you when they asked you to step aside, to stop taking up so much space, and to simply give them a chance to speak up for themselves. Because their time is now, and people aren't always going to be listening. They knew they had to strike while the iron was hot and advocate for themselves. And instead of letting them do that, you made everything about you and your pain, and you never stopped to think about what they needed in that moment. And when you refer to the people who truly matter in this poem, you really show your full hand. Because up to that point, I was only inferring that what those ladies felt didn't matter to you, and neither did their stories or the pain they had to endure. But it's evident from your words and your actions that they are not the people who truly matter to you. And it's no doubt that the staff of the docuseries were able to see right through your intentions. That is perhaps why they relegated your role to a mere footnote instead of treating you like an actual vederism expert. What this poem says is that I hurt you, but you hurt me more by not forgiving me fast enough, and I'm out. And that is flat out emotional manipulation.